What the freak is up, my curious souls? My name is Tiana Hallams, and I am the proud founder of the Fearless Fulfillment podcast. I'm a passionate enthusiast of life, and my main goal is to live and help others live their most aligned and fulfilled lives. Everyone needs a personal hype woman that's brutally honest and pushes you to be your best. And that's me, mofos. I don't care if you're a woman, man, cat, dog, fish. You deserve to live a life that you design. In this podcast, I help you to take control of your life. I use profanity. I push you to challenge what you've always known. And my hope is that we can evolve and grow together. Aloha, and welcome to another episode of the Fearless Fulfillment podcast, folks. We are so excited to have you here today. And as you all know, my two favorite love languages are physical touch and quality time. And because I cannot physically give you a consensual hug, your time means the absolute world to me. And if you didn't notice already, I said the word we in that intro, meaning that I am joined here today by my bestie for the restie, Kamalani Dung. She is my first guest, and we are so excited to dive deeper into who she is and what she's all about. So it only makes sense that the first guest that I have ever on my Fearless Fulfillment podcast is my bestie, Kama Dung. So hey there, Kama.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Obviously, folks, here we are. First guest. I'm so honored to be here.
Hey, we're stoked to have you. Am I right, Fearless Fulfillment fam? We are right. So I currently have written out 10 questions in which we will ask Kama today. And I think that it really pertains so well to everyone that is listening who wants to feel a very fulfilled and amazing life. So first and foremost, Kama, go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? What are you doing right now in life? Like, give me some surface level shit that I could be able to Google. Go ahead and do that.
Oh my goodness. All right. Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here today. So for most of you that don't know me, my name is Kamalani Dung. Tiana and I go way back to maybe like second grade. How many years has it been?
Honestly, probably about 16, not even gonna lie.
Yeah, it's been like an excessive amount of years that I've known this girl.
Truly actually, unnecessary.
You know what? Maybe I should take over the podcast today. How did we actually meet? Like, do we have any memories of like how we potentially became friends?
If you were possibly seeing me from some sort of satellite radio system right now, you could see my eyes roll to the back of my head. Kamalani Dung is currently referring to a section of my life in which that I wish that I burned, because I, in like second grade, met Kamalani and this other girl, Leimana Trainer, if you're listening to this, hey, shout out to you. You were another bestie that I thought would be for the restie. And so I wrote in my binder, like, who did you meet? Who did you meet that you're like super excited to like be around with? And literally I put, I met this really cool girl, Kama Dung, and I hope that we'll be besties for the resties and like literally be best friends forever.
So you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
Actually, you heard it here first that I manifested and called that me and Kama would be best friends. So
yeah. Hey,
that's just a little backstory of how we even became friends. And after that, we just decided to dominate in recess and continue to do brain gyms with Miss Murakami.
Miss Murakami, shout out.
Miss Murakami, if you're listening to this, or any commitment grads, you know damn well Miss Murakami is the reason why we're so mentally strong. So thank you for the brain gyms, Miss Murakami, in the middle of the cul-de-sac thing. Anyway, Kama, who are you, buddy?
Guys, hi. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so if we didn't know how powerful Tiana's manifestations were, now we know. Like, she truly manifested this friendship. And, you know, my name is Kamalani Dung. I am known for being a professional softball player. And apparently, according to Rob DeMello, shout out to him as well if he's also listening. So many shout outs. It's been like 2 minutes. A professional softball player, model, and philanthropist now. But I mean, truly just a normal girl from Waianae, Hawaii. Grew up in a small town out in Makaha, for all the people who are listening from the mainland, which is kind of the more rundown side of Hawaii. And grew up with a mixture of having experiences of having so many things and so many people in Waianae looking up to my family, to going through adversity and hardships of having hard times facing homelessness and maybe some hard times facing, just life in general with personal life and other things. So I've been through a lot in my journey, but one thing that has really stuck with me and one thing that's kept me going is the people that I surround myself with, and also softball, the sport of softball. So I'm a big sports girl. I went on to play in Kamalani, where I was a 4-time varsity athlete and all-state player. Went on to play at Fresno State, where I won a Mountain West Conference championship and won Pitcher of the Year. Transferred to UC Berkeley, where that's, first of all, somewhere that I never thought I would have ended up, as one of the top universities in the world. And if anyone knew me in high school, I was never known as a brainiac of any sort. If anything, I was considered a jock who focused solely on softball and was never seen in class or in other places. Any athletes listening, yes, I would always go to class because I was a good student. But just in general, I really, softball was my life. So I feel like in terms of high school or anything like that, social life, really, I was consumed by school, going straight to practice, and then games on the weekend. So that was mostly my main concern. But yeah, going on to play at UC Berkeley, gradding 2019, 2020 was my year as an assistant coach at UC Berkeley, and then going on to play on the Puerto Rican national team and then professionally for Athletes Unlimited, which is a pro league that's similar to fantasy sports. So it's a very interesting league, actually, where everything that you do is considered for money. So everything that you do, every pitch that I throw, every at-bat, everyone's really competing for money. So it's something that's super competitive, really, really hard mentally and physically, because you're competing against the best in the world. And it's something that has really challenged me as both a professional athlete and just mentally as, a person. I've been through some struggles there of really facing some of the top components and top players in the world, and it's just been a very awesome experience to see me go from, second grade with Tiana writing in her notebook that she wanted to be my best friend to small town girl to where I am today. And I'm truly blessed and thankful for all the people who have supported me on a serious note to where I am today, because without Tiana and without my family and all my supporters, I really wouldn't be where I am today. And I've been blessed to travel the world playing with the Puerto Rican national team and all these things, but here we are.
Can I literally just interject, because my literal fudging, my cheekbones are sore because I'm over here just grinning like a little loser, because the whole reason why me and Kama are super close, which is also in very relevant to why the hardships that she went through, is because Kama was literally at my house in unnecessarily large amount of times, throughout high school, especially, for some godforsaken reason, Kama was always at my house, even during weekdays, even during, the times in which we needed to go to in class and we were doing homework here, and then we would go to school, and my mama, bless her soul, she's literally the most amazing person in the entire world. She would make us biscuits with butter and jam and hot tea, and then we would go to literally school together, and everyone was just kind of confused because everyone knew that Kama was from Waianae and I was from Aiea, so it did not make any sense in terms of why the hell we were together in the morning time, why Kama was not catching the designated bus that she had. So another reason why we're so close is because of the hardships that she had. And obviously I'm not stoked as hell that she had some rough ass points in her life that she got through and she persevered and she literally powered through like a champ. But that is a big part of why we are so close, is because of those hardships. She was literally at my house a stupid amount of time. So that's also why this 16-year relationship has like basically grown because of those moments. And so thank you so much, Kama, for literally giving a nice little spiel of your life, because that's some shit, guys, that you can literally Google. But what are we all about here? We are all about diving deeper. And that was only one effing question. So if you were not strapped in before, understand that you must get strapped in. Buckle that shit up and let's get ready. So the second question that I have here for Kama is, how did you get to where you are right now? Like, I just want to ask you, when did you, in your brain, decide that you wanted to strive for more? Because I know that you came from super, super humble beginnings, and hard work really, like, got you through everything that you've been through. When in your brain were you like, hell yeah, I'm about to, like, do this, and I'm about to believe in myself, and I'm about to go for it? Because I know that a lot of the times when people are faced with hardship, it's really easy to turn the opposite way and be like, I'm actually going to just give up. Life is super hard. I can't really do this. This is not for me. This is for people who have money. This is for people who have opportunity. This is for people who are made for this and generationally allowed to have these types of opportunities. So, like, what was the moment, or if there was even a moment, where you decided in your head, like, I'm worthy, I'm enough, like, I can get this done, like, let's do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that, and I've been on a lot of podcasts, so shoot.
That's what happens when you live together for
Yeah, so I mean, starting off from like what our humble beginnings together to where we are now. I mean, anybody who meets me now is, I mean, it's just funny because they greet me with a level of starstruck, and it's just funny because, I mean, I really don't see it as anything. I mean, a lot of people are like, wow, you have these medals, you've traveled the world, you have all these life experiences, businesses and modeling and all these things. And it's just funny because to me personally, it's kind of just me living out my everyday wants and needs. And it comes from my parents, honestly. So for me, I didn't know what I was missing when I was younger. We've had times where my family was considered one of the wealthiest families in Waianae, and then I've had times where, I mean, a lot of people at school didn't even know that I was staying over your house, like, multiple days a week, and times where, I mean, people would be like, hey, didn't you have that stain on your shorts yesterday? And I was like, yeah, mind your business, and you know, like, in high school. So it came from my parents kind of instilling this need and want for me to have a better life than they had. And just be a good person, doing good things in the world, and truly striving for things that I never knew would be possible. And I like to tell this story to my softball girls of, like, when I was younger, I had this experience of somebody asked me to go try out for the USA Junior National Team, and you know, against everything in me, I was like, why would I make myself look so silly? Why would I go out there and do that and get cut in front of everyone in the nation? That makes no sense.
Kind of like how you got cut in 7th grade for volleyball, but let's continue.
Hey, first of all, I mean, once again, another shout out to the volleyball coach that cut me in 7th grade. I was totally fine with being a bench rider. I just wanted to be with my friends. And also, I'm pretty sure I could have been pretty good at volleyball, because high-level performers perform high level in all things, but that's not what we're here for today.
That's neither here nor there, but continue with with the embarrassment of being cut.
Yeah, I actually did try out for volleyball in 7th grade, and actually, you know what? Let's just go on a really quick tangent and tell this story, because no other podcast is going to care or ask about this. So.
Yes. This is really the deep dive, folks.
Yeah, so as we know, Tiana played volleyball throughout her career and life, and I tried out for volleyball 7th grade. My parents forced me to do it, and I went out to the volleyball tryout, and we're gonna say I'm a realist here, and I was genuinely pretty good. I made it to, like, the last day on the good court. There was an obvious good court that was gonna make it, and a bad court that was like, okay, we know you're getting cut. So I was on the good court all the way to the last day. I had no idea what I was doing. Pure athleticism, folks. Pure. Straight from the core, from the gut and heart. And then I go out there, and you know how it's volleyball, so it's bump, set, spike. So I didn't know there was a such thing as a setter because, that would take somebody teaching you that to know that. So that's something that I could have learned in time. But anyways, beside the point. So someone bumps the ball at the tryout. There's a setter that's set to set the ball. And I go over there and I bump them out of the way. And I hit a great set. Like, it's a perfect set. But, like, in this moment, everyone on the court is like, ooh, she just knocked the actual setter out of the way to set the ball. She has no idea what she's even doing here. Like, what? Oh, shucks. Yeah, this girl has no clue. We're putting her on the junk court. So, in that moment, they grabbed me, put me on the junk court. I knew I was done. I was like, oh, darn, there it went. Did so good for the whole week of tryouts just to make it to the junk court. I'm going to get cut. So, I get to the junk court, and then tryouts end, and we all are sitting in this giant circle, and they're like, you know what, who's gonna make it today? They're calling out all these names. Obviously, Tiana is like one of the first people called off. Tiana Hallams, boom, she goes stand up there, people who made it. And then all of a sudden, they call Kamalani Dung, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, did I just make the volleyball team? It's like, nice, no years of experience, love that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Kamalani Dung, you made the team. So I stand up, I'm high-fiving all my friends. Boom, boom, Mia, Tiana, Taylor, Peyton. Like, everybody's getting high fives. And then all of a sudden, I'm standing up there, and I'm so proud of myself. Like, wow, this was such a good experience. I'm so thankful that I tried out. Wow, I love volleyball. And they get to the end of calling all the names, and they're like, oh my goodness. Everyone stop. So there's this pause, and they're like, we made a mistake. Did we say Kamalani Dung? And I was like, yeah, that's what you said. That's why I'm standing here. And they were like, shucks, we meant Kamalani Akeo.
Shout out to Kamalani Akeo because you're badass.
Yeah,
but...
first of all, shout out again to another person. Kamalani Akeo, if you didn't know the story, now you know the story. So in that moment, I pretty much had my heart broken into a billion pieces, and I'm running off the court. So at that point, like, wouldn't you think as a coach, like, we made a mistake, we should take Kamalani Dung and Kamalani Akeo? Like, as a middle school coach, we're in 7th grade. Like, come on, you can't even tell who's actually good at things.
Come on, bro.
Not.
Like, spare the one position. Let's just give her a spot, man, on the bench.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I could have been the water girl. Like, just literally just keep me up there. I already high-fived everyone. It was embarrassing. So they say, oh, shucks, we meant Kamalani Akeo. And I was like, awesome, that's lovely.
Man,
so I'm just waiting to see what that means. Like, does that mean me and Kamalani Akeo both get a spot? So they're like, okay, Kamalani Dung, can you come back and take a seat? So I have to walk away from everyone standing up who I just high-fived. High-five Kamalani Akeo as she's walking to the people who make it, and I'm walking to the people who are cut. And I sit down, and then we all get cut, all the people sitting. Like, literally love Kamalani Akeo to death, but that's just like a core trauma. I would love to say core memory, but that's a core trauma for me.
but thankfully that was not what happened at the U.S. national team.
You know what? By the grace of God, like, I really made it in softball, but, like, wow, what if that was the last straw for me?
Yeah,
like,
what if, like, all athleticism just gets absolutely cut from your brain cells? Like, you're just like, you know what? This is enough.
Yeah,
I've seen enough.
You know what? Everyone listening to this podcast, this just teaches you, one, adversity comes to you in a lot of ways at home, and also the fact that you can get cut from teams, and you just have to persevere and find other ways. Because I mean, shout out to Kamalani Akeo for making it that year, but I really think I could have been something in softball in volleyball if I got my shot. So that's one thing the world will never know.
Yeah, the world will never know. Kamalani Dung, volleyball player.
Volleyball player. But sheesh, okay.
Holy heck.
That's actually funny. That's like a story that not many people know.
No, that's a story that I, in my brain, have locked in. It is locked into my brain. And I just know, no matter how dark times get, just know that you will never be cut, or actually, you will never be accepted and then told to sit back down and then actually cut from a team. You will never get your acceptance retracted, no matter how hard you try. But you know,
wow.
Kamalani Dung did that. And she persevered, folks. So back to you going and telling softball galleys about your U.S. national team.
Gosh, yeah. I'm so glad you
I was about to say
memory.
audition. It's not audition. Tryout,
yeah. Jeez. Thank you for bringing that up, the way that I got cut from volleyball. You know what's the fun fact, guys? I mean, my mom's for sure gonna listen to this. Hi, Mom. But
Auntie.
My parents had the audacity to tell me to go try out the next year for 8th grade volleyball. And I was like, literally, just get out of my face. So I stuck with softball, folks. As we know, I didn't end up playing volleyball. That's the reason why. Now you guys have the inside scoops. But on a more serious note, I went out to... I had the offer to try out for the U.S. national team, and I was supposed to go fly out to Florida, and this was when I was in high school and going through some tough times, but I really threw a hissy fit. Like, I was kicking and screaming. Like, I am not going to embarrass myself to go get cut again, folks, from something, you know? So I was like, why would I go try out with the best in the nation? I'm from Hawaii, and why would I do that? So ultimately, I ended up getting my way. My mom gave in and was like, fine, we're not going to go try out. And I didn't try out. And then I ended up getting notified by the coach a couple of years later that if I actually had just shown up to the tryout, I would have made the team. Like, they had a spot waiting for me, and they were waiting for me to show up, and I just didn't go. And
wow, I never knew that story.
Yeah, so it's just crazy to me that that would be an example of where the lights kind of switched for me, where I realized that half the battle is really just showing up for your opportunities, because, I mean, you can put these limits on yourself. Like, hey, I'm from Waianae, I'm going through these whatever. There's this whole nation worth of, I mean, in this situation, it's softball, but I mean, in any situation, it's like there's this whole world of people out here. Like, why would I be able to make this national team? Why would I be good enough? You know, why am I good enough? Why am I unique? And it's just funny because years later I found out that they were waiting for me to show up, and I didn't show up. So I blocked my own blessing in that situation. So that was kind of like a light switch moment for me, where I realized that half the battle is really just showing up for any opportunity that you have. And you're going to have your doubts. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You may even kick and scream like, why would I do this? I don't want to embarrass myself, whatever it may be. You have,
what is everyone going to think of me?
Yeah, what is everyone going to think? I have all these limiting beliefs on myself, like I'm from this small town, whatever it may be. And even in the workplace, like, oh, why would I be qualified for that job? Blah, 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 whatever.
Why would I even try for the promotion when there's so many other more qualified people than I am?
Yeah, so, like, why would I even try in general? And from that moment on, I really, anytime I felt some sort of discomfort or any type of, like, moments of doubt in my mind, I really just kind of leaned into it, because I felt like when you feel doubt and when you feel uncomfortable, that's when you're growing. And I mean, yeah, period, right there. Like, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel moments of doubting yourself, you kind of have to reevaluate. Like, this is a moment for you to grow, and you never know what's on the other side of this moment if you don't actually give yourself the chance and you don't give yourself the opportunity to show up. Because I mean, the roster spot could have been waiting for you, and you just might have blocked your own blessing. But if you just went to the tryout, if you just go to the job opportunity, if you just show up for whatever opportunities are in front of you, I mean, it's right there for you. You'll never know until you try. And that was something that pushed me to go to Fresno State. That was something, when I felt homesick, that pushed me to go to UC Berkeley, which is one of the best colleges in the world, which I would have never, ever thought that I would go to or attend or anything. I mean, that's something I would have never, ever thought that I would ever do, is go on to play at Berkeley, go on to play professionally. And these are all things that I probably would have stopped myself from doing. But from that moment on, I realized that, one, the first thing is to show up for your opportunities. And two, you never know what you're capable of until you actually try.
I love that you say that because I feel like a lot of people, when they feel discomfort and when they feel like things are off, or when they feel like, oh, this is so outside of my capabilities, why would I ever go for this? Your initial reaction and your initial instinct is to go in the opposite direction. Like, it's to go, you know what, I'm going to retract. I'm going to go right back into my comfort zone. And I feel like that's why a lot of the time, a lot of people are not living their most aligned and fulfilled life, is because they refuse to do so. Like, it's so crazy because I was reading this book and it talks about how your comfort zone not only keeps you in the same area that you're used to, it also holds you back from growing and evolving past your potential that you've already set on yourself. So not only is it so important that we continue to push outside of our comfort zone, it's important that we do that because we don't know what we're capable of, exactly what you were saying, and exactly what you learned in that situation of being like, holy shit, they actually were waiting for me. Like, that opportunity is waiting for you. That new experience and that new lifestyle is waiting for you. It's literally just waiting. Just casually in the waiting room, like, hey, I wonder when Kama's gonna show up. I wonder when Tiana's gonna show up. I wonder when fucking Jim, Gary, like, Veronica is gonna show up through that door. Oh, they never came. Cool. I need to move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so in that moment, you get validated that, see, it was given to somebody else. Like, I knew I wasn't worthy, but in reality, if you would have gone for it, you would have had it, and that other person wouldn't have had it, you know, like, you would have been able to take advantage of what was given to you. So I feel like when people see success, they just think, oh, like, they were made for that, they were bred for that, like, it was handed to them, it was dropped in their lap.
Yeah.
But in reality, you have to go get it. So fucking love that. Absolutely love that. And also, super side note, guys, if you thought this was going to be all about softball, probably not. Honestly, there's a lot of other podcasts for that. And she's already recorded, like, a ton of other athletic podcasts. But this is more so diving into, like, the psyche of someone that went from literally 0 to 100 in life. And I take a lot of pride in my podcast because I only want to bring on guests that are willing to talk about these vulnerable parts of life, because a lot of people are game bird to pretend like, no, I always was super confident in myself. Like, I always was, this is easy. Like, this is such an easy, bitch, it is never easy to step outside of your comfort zone. It's never like a walk in the park to be like, oh, yeah, just about to go outside, do something I've never done before. No one feels that way. Like, literally no one. And if anyone tells you that they were super comfortable getting outside their comfort zone, they are lying. They're liars. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of integrity and a lot of strength to be like, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen outside of this, but I'm ready and I trust myself to do so, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, fucking question 3, because we literally are on only the second question. What makes you feel loved and accepted? That could be in romantic relationships or regular relationships with, like, friendships that you seek, you know? Like, what draws you to people and what attracts you to people to, like, continue to be in your circle?
That is a great question. When it comes to people that make me feel the most loved, I think it comes down to people who really genuinely care and genuinely listen. People who are open-minded. I'd say that people who kind of mirror my mindset on life. I feel like I'm really, I wouldn't say free-spirited, but I feel like I'm rooted in, I've been around a lot, and I'm really rooted in just surrounding myself with people who are really genuinely good people, who are trying to do good in the world and trying to make their own legacy for themselves.
And this is such a cliche thing to say, but, like, you can immediately tell the vibes of somebody, like, once you meet them, and, like, once you start to talk to them, even just a couple sentences in. So, in terms of being loved, like, what makes you feel loved and accepted, would you say it's people who support this mindset and this shift in your life that you're going through right now? Like, would you say it's, like, people who kind of are the puzzle pieces in which you are about to continue to grow with? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's people who really help you achieve your purpose in life. And
Totally.
I know that it's hard to figure out what your purpose is, but I feel like all of us deep down really know what that is. So I went through an experience where my sophomore year of college, my mom had a stroke. And I was in my dorm room, and I was asleep, and I got a phone call from my brother really late at night. And I heard the phone ringing. I turned over. I was like, what is my brother calling for? We don't call each other like this, like randomly, like in the middle of the night. So I almost turned back over, and I went back to sleep, and I was like, wait, you know what? We don't call each other like this. What does he need? So I answered it, and he pretty much broke down, saying that my mom had a stroke and that she was probably going to pass. And nothing has ever hit me harder than that moment. I remember dropping to my knees in my dorm room. It was probably like 1 a.m. in the morning. I had practice the next morning. And I felt completely just... I mean, my mom is young. She's 40. She was 40 at the time. 41 or something like that. And I just felt so blindsided and caught off guard because life was rolling, you know? Like, I'm here in college. I'm playing not pro ball. I'm here in college. I'm playing college ball. Life is good. Everything. I'm getting a full ride scholarship to school. This is everything that I've worked for my whole career of high school, and everything is finally coming together and paying off. And then boom, all of this happens. And it really, really hit me. So I was on my way back home, flying on a plane, which, I mean, shout out to my coach Ford at the time, Trisha Ford. She flew me back home. And I was on the plane thinking, like, my mom could have passed at any moment that I was on that 6-hour flight. And the fact that it happened so quick, and the fact that my mom is such an amazing, awesome woman. You know, she's really done everything right her whole life. Such a good mom, such a good person to her friends, and just in general, like, really hasn't affected the world negatively in any way, has done awesome things. She's so young and having a stroke, like, really, we are not promised tomorrow. And I think that was a moment that clicked in my head where it was like, you know what? We need to be better. Like, I personally needed to be better, like, in choosing who I wanted as my partner for life, who I wanted as my friends, what I wanted to do for work, what I wanted out of this life in general, what kind of legacy I wanted to leave, how I wanted people to remember me by. I mean, I don't know what tomorrow holds, and if today was my last day on earth, who would I want to be surrounded by? What would I want to be doing? What kind of love would I want to have in my life? What kind of love would I want to give others? So that was a huge realization to me, a huge flip of the switch where a lot of things changed after that for me in terms of what I wanted out of life. I tell that story because I hope that I can encourage people, and most people that I talk to are really get on the same mark where it's just, you know, life is short. We have our short time on this earth to leave our mark. We have our short time to be surrounded with people that we love and love hard, you know?
When you arrived, what was the environment that you walked into when you landed off the plane?
So I landed off the plane and I heard that my mom was unconscious, and I went straight to the hospital here in Hawaii, and my whole family was there. It really felt numb. I mean, anyone who's in that situation understands that it just feels numb. Like, you don't really feel like anything is real. And I went in there and she was unconscious, and it was terrible. But it got to the point where she ended up gaining consciousness, and my mom is such an awesome mom where she ended up telling me, after me being home for about maybe a week or two, and this was me missing preseason up at school, she told me, like, I'm gonna be okay, and I want you to go back to school. And I was like, why would I go back to school? You're literally on your deathbed. You're someone who means more to me than anything. And she was like, you know what, like, that may mean a lot to you, but for me, it means more than anything for you to do this for me. Go to college, get a better life than I had, and live out a future that is changed from all of the hard work that you put in and all the hard work that we as a family put in to get you there. I want you to change your life and change the generational patterns by going back to school. So it was insane. What an amazing woman. She booked my flight back from her hospital bed What a crackhead, Mom. You're listening to this, you're a crackhead. She was literally paralyzed. She, paralyzed half of her body, and she booked my flight back to go to school. Ridiculous, Mom. Truly an awesome and inspiring woman. I can't wait for the day that she writes a book or something on her life and how,
what's literally so crazy about your mom and everything that she went through, it's so nuts because she's always right. Me and Kama talk about this all the time, and I'm definitely not gonna ever relate my mom to her mom in terms of experience, but what the hell, especially our moms, they are always correct. For example, your mom saying and telling you that she's going to be okay and to go back to school, she was right. She's currently recovering, and she actually had a baby, your little sister, and she was okay, and she's still in recovery right now, but she's definitely out of the hospital.
Up to date, and she's doing awesome.
Yes, she's absolutely
so much better. She's killing it, amazing, leading the charge, supporting our family, doing amazing things.
Yeah, and it's just so nuts because I feel like moms in general, and I know that everyone has different relationships with their moms. Some moms could be absolutely horrible, and some moms could be totally intrusive and has no boundaries. But in terms of our mom specifically, for some unknown reason, they knew everything about our lives, leading up to this point. For example, Kama's mom told her that I would be her best friend when we were super little, and I had no idea that they had that conversation.
That's true.
And my mom has strayed me away from paths in which that I should not have taken, and I later on realized holy shit, if I went down that path I would have hated my life kind of thing. And so it's just so nuts how people who love you so much know what's almost sometimes knows what's best for you in those circumstances. And how cool it is that even when your mom was going through something so life-changing and so incredibly transformative, that she still knew no, I'm gonna be okay, you need to go, I know exactly what you need to do, and I have complete and total faith in you that you'll do that and you'll excel in Cal, you know.
So that's where I came to the conclusion of why wouldn't I be the best person I can be every day? Why wouldn't I try to leave people in a better place than I met them? Why wouldn't I be the best friend that I ever can be to my friend here, Tiana? Why wouldn't I leave a relationship that may not have been serving me and wait for one that may be perfect for me and someone that can love me the ways that I need to be loved, which is, both of us can relate on the fact of, we're really deep lovers. We feel happiness in extreme ways. Some may call it crackhead energy, but truly we enjoy life.
It truly is.
Yeah, people have told us since we were babies that it's just wow, you guys are fun, you guys enjoy life, and it's true. I really am here to have fun, surround myself with good people, make everyone's day better, hopefully. Sometimes I'll be in a bad mood, I'm human, but
on top of that, I feel we overwhelm a lot of people solely because our energy is so, especially when we're together. I feel when we're separate, it's a little more oh, I'm a little bit more calm, but I'm still approachable. But man, if we're together, okay, we are known as the BLTs, and I won't describe exactly what circumstances told us that, but it's been really odd because me and Kama haven't lived in the same environment for a really, really long time until just recently, probably about 8 months ago when I finally moved home. And even when we were apart, when she was at Cal Berkeley and I was at Gonzaga and where I was at in Utah too, even when we wouldn't text each other and we wouldn't catch up and maybe it's a month has passed where we haven't FaceTime, when we FaceTimed and we debriefed and deep dived everything that happened for that last 30 days that we were apart and weren't really talking, the parallels actually fucking terrified me. They weren't even haha, that's so funny, it's such a silly little circumstance that you were in. And we're called BLTs, and we nickname ourselves that because we're bad luck twins, and we also are GLTs, good luck twins, but that didn't stick as well. We have continued with bad luck twins because every time something goes super well for one of us, the other one is also doing something super well, and then whenever something is this is not as fun, literally the other person is not having as fun of a time. And so it was just weird because the ups and downs of life would parallel even when we were in different states.
Yeah.
And to this day, honestly, we have conversations about this and we're still confused as to why that is the way it is. Like, we're still not understanding why that happens.
Truly blessed with, like, a soul best friend.
No.
Like, connected at the soul, going through the same experiences in just different ways. It's so odd. Really weird.
And honestly, I hope everyone out there eventually, if you have a friend group that doesn't really resonate with you, I hope and pray that you eventually find someone that is in that way with you, because I feel like there are soulmates that are your, like, romantic partners, and, like, there are soulmates that are people who are meant to be in your life forever. I feel like there's really people in your life that are meant to be there throughout your entirety of life and the ups and downs and the roller coasters that you may face. And so I hope that everyone is able to experience that.
Yeah.
Because I truly don't know what I would do without this freaking person sitting next to me and our random wine night karaoke nights. Like, I have no idea what that would even be like. And we always joke and we're like, no matter who comes in and out, like, we'll always be here. Bruh, it has been so true. And so if you haven't found that person, like, I just want to let you know, I swear to God, there is somebody out there like that for you.
Totally.
There is somebody out there that will vibe with you on the same level, in which you won't have to change anything about yourself to be loved and accepted and to really be heard, and you don't have to feel like a burden. Anyway, loved and accepted, beautiful. I think that you already kind of covered. Another question that I had for Kama was, like, what motivates you and what's your why and what keeps you going and inspires you. And I feel like a lot of that was answered in our last conversation just now about your mom and Lanson. Shout out to Lanson. Another fudging shout out.
Legend.
Love that guy. Man, you continue at this moment in time. If anyone wants to visit Lanson, you better give him a fat cash tip at Ko'olina. Even when he tells you to take down your umbrella, you better be like, thank you, sir, for keeping the peace. Here's $20. Every single person that goes to Ko'olina, okay?
Strongest person I know in my life is Lanson. And I mean, I think that I did cover it with my why being my family, but I mean, everyone is going to have a different why in what motivates them. I had a talk the other week at Farrington High School. I've been doing more motivational speeches, which is funny to me because, like, I mean, being a small town girl, I'm like, why do you guys want to hear from me? But it really impacted me seeing the way that I was able to motivate these girls to try harder in softball, try harder in school, whatever it may be. And I had an hour-long conversation with the Farrington High School softball team, JV and varsity, where they were asking amazing questions of, like, and one of them was like, what motivates you? Like, why didn't you give up in these moments that you had the adversity? And I think that in our moments of adversity, which we'll have throughout life, in a number of different categories, in a number of different ways, is like, what's your why? Like, why do you keep going? Why do you keep doing these things that you're doing? And I think it's easy. It's really, really easy to give in and give up. But something that I've learned through sport is that through all the extra conditioning that I've done and all the extra weightlifting that I've done, one thing that's always been true is that, I mean, at the end of the season, when I win that trophy, when my teammate gets that extra hit, every single piece of effort that we've put in leading up into that moment is worth it. That's one thing that can resonate with me in finding what your motivation is, what your why. And everyone's going to have a different why. It could be your family. It could be maybe the goals that you want to accomplish. Maybe you want to change generational patterns.
It really could be intrinsic. Like,
yes,
a lot of people don't come from incredible backgrounds. Like, they don't come from family members that they love, you know? Like, a lot of people have honestly effed you over, and that's so valid. Like, your why could definitely be like myself. Different. Like, I myself want to do this for me. Yeah. And to prove to myself that I am what I say I am, you know? So I totally just back what Kama says. Like, your why can totally be different no matter who you are, like, no matter what your upbringing is. You want to continue to strive for you. That's totally not a selfish why. And I feel like when people have whys that are, oh, no, I want to do it because I want to do it, a lot of others outside of yourself would be like, well, that seems selfish. Like, that seems like you're just doing it for yourself. You just are doing it for your own intrinsic value. And it's like, in what way is anyone allowed to judge others based on their why when that is literally their why? Like, it does not make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, there should be no reason or no explanation for why your why is your why. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully that freaking resonated, because the word why was said like 80 times in that. Besides the point. Another thing that I wanted to ask is, it actually comes back to knowing what your why is and pushing through those limiting barriers that you have on yourself. But how do you personally deal with your limiting beliefs and self-doubts? Like, what self-doubts do you find come up the most in your head? Because I talk about this a lot on the podcast, about that little voice inside of your head that's your ego saying that, you know, like, why would it be you? Why would it be you that gets promoted? Why would it be you that makes it? Why would it be you that anyone listens to? How do you deal with those limiting beliefs and self-doubts, and what helps you through those?
Yes, that was an amazing question. Gosh, I love this podcast. Like, most podcasts really just ask about, like, what you're up to, how you're doing, what your mindset is. But it's like, wow, this one really gets deep. Like, questioning yourself and growing. Like, this podcast really promotes growth in your mindset in general. And I love it because, yeah, so I think that in terms of what inspires me to keep going, is that the question? Wait, what's the question at this point? So sorry.
What do you do to deal with the limiting beliefs and self-doubts?
The beliefs and self-doubt. Hey, folks, first of all,
that
we are recording this at, it is almost 1 a.m. and I'm being forced at basically gunpoint to be here. Anyways, limiting...
She absolutely is, because I was like, get upstairs before we get too tired. Hurry up. Hurry up.
So, okay, limiting beliefs and self-doubts. That's a huge one for me because, I mean, through my whole career, everyone has told me that they doubted that I would make it. I mean, in terms of playing in high school, softball-wise, being able to hang academically at UC Berkeley, being able to go pro ball. I've never been trained to be a model or a spokesperson or any of these things. People have told me that I wouldn't be able to work corporate. I've worked for one of the number one software partnership companies in New York, just to prove people wrong at this point. I'm really just out here doing side...
flipping the bird to people who are doubting you.
Yeah, I'm at this
Love
point,
it.
I'm really just doing side quests just to prove to myself and prove to others, like, hey, fun fact, anyone can do whatever they want if they try hard enough and they actually just go for it, you know? So, everyone has put limiting beliefs on me. I've put limiting beliefs on myself, but I'm at the point where I've broken so many barriers at this point that I'm just convinced that we are all capable of anything that we want to do. It's just really a matter of, one, working hard enough to obtain, like, the skills necessary to do it, and then two, putting yourself in the opportunity to do it. Like I said with my other story earlier, like, you have to give yourself the shot to see if you could have even made it or not, because you never know what you're capable of, and then working hard enough to gain the skills to be able to achieve these things that you want to do.
What do you hear in your head? Like, do you hear, like, how are you good enough? Or why would you be able to make it? Or you don't have the skill set for it? Or you aren't prepared? You aren't going to be seen at the same level as some other softball players, maybe? Like, when you do step outside of your comfort zone and think to yourself, maybe I'll go for this. What do you hear?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I've had a mentor of mine tell me that winners will always find a way to win. And throughout every season and every chapter of my life, I've found a way to win against all adversity. So I think in a certain level that I'm qualified to speak on this, that I really just don't have a doubt in my mind that I'm going to win. And I would encourage you guys to have the same, because, I mean, that's the same example that I keep referring to of, like, you don't even know what you're capable of until you genuinely try.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was something that, in terms of, like, a lot of people speak it over me. So in my head, I truly believe that I am capable of anything. If I give myself a little bit of money and I give myself a little bit of time, just give me some time to learn how to do this, you know, and then I'll come up, I'll resurface in maybe 6 months, maybe a year, and be able to do it. And I'm pretty sure that anyone can genuinely do the same if they put in enough work and effort and, you know, dedication to whatever their craft is or whatever their dream is. And that's the mindset that I have. And as my mentor told me, that winners will always find a way to win. I think that I truly embody like a winner championship mindset. And I've been able to luckily win at the highest level of sports. And it's been able to translate in, I mean, business. I went on to play pro ball for that 1 year, and then I took a year off because after pro ball, I realized that I wanted to kind of prove to myself and prove to others. Coming out of Berkeley, I mean, it's such a competitive school. And people were like, why wouldn't you get an amazing corporate job? Like, you could get such this amazing job. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it then, you know? I'll play pro ball, which you guys couldn't do. And then I'll also get a corporate job that you also couldn't do. And, you know, there's been some people who have told me, like, hey, why don't you start at, like, a beginner's salary? Because, guys, we're not beginners. Like, you don't need to recreate everything that you've learned in your whole life up until this moment. You've worked hard in things all the way up until where you are right now. Find the things that you're good at and then pursue those things. You don't need to restart. So that's one thing that's made me successful, is I've been able to reevaluate like what has gotten me to where I am today as a high level performer and what will get me to the next level.
I heard this saying the other day, and it basically was talking about how other people will tell you what you can do or what you can't do based on what they can or can't do. I'm going to say that again. People will tell you what you can or can't do based on what they think they can or can't do. So that essentially means that, like, people are going to place their own limiting beliefs that they put on themselves, limiting beliefs and self-doubts on themselves, on you as well. So if they see Kama, for example, all of a sudden from softball going into a modeling career, let's say, and she completely drops the softball thing and she goes into modeling, they will tell her, why would you think that you can do that? Or how are you going to accomplish that? You have no connections in modeling. You have none of this. You have none of this. You can't do that. But in reality,
even when I went in corporate, you know?
Yes, exactly. Like, even when anybody is pursuing something new, if you talk about it with the wrong person, I promise you they're going to discourage you and you're not going to do it. Like, so that's why, oh my God, I've said this so many fucking times on my podcast episode, and pardon the explicitness, I don't really care, because, you know, being on this podcast this many episodes, I will swear randomly. But, like, if you surround yourself with the wrong people, I promise you, with every fiber in my being, you're not going to get to the next level that you want to get to. Like, that's just a fact. Yeah. Like, if you continue to keep around people who are going to place their limiting beliefs on you, it's almost like you're fighting uphill. You're effing salmon. You're up a goddamn river. You're, like, constantly trying to get to where you want to get to, and then the river's flowing back at you being like, you can't do that. Why would you be able to do that? You don't have the resources. You don't have the time. You don't have the energy. You already have 2 kids. Like, how are you going to be able to do that? Like, bitch, I don't know. Can you move out of my way so I can salmon my ass up the goddamn river? Like, if you do not have the proper people around you, you are going to adapt those limiting beliefs, and you're going to continue to believe that what you're capable of is what they're capable of. But that's not the truth. And so that is why I even more so will continue to promote this fact of, if you are unhappy with your current circle, I know it's hard to leave. I fucking know that it's so hard to be like, these girls have been with me forever. These guys have been with me forever. Like, I can't leave them. Like, I can't abandon ship. I can't, like, just leave them in the dust. Yes, you can. And you want to know why? Because if you win, your entire circle wins. And maybe if you start to succeed, your shit-ass circle is going to be like, actually, I can do what I want to do. I can do that because so-and-so did so. I saw them do so, and they had the exact amount of resources that I can. Like, why can't I? And then you become an inspiration to them.
Setting the example.
Yeah, you set the example. So don't limit yourself because of the standards that other people put on you. You should know that you are capable of so much more and that you are able to salmon your way up the goddamn stream. Trust in yourself and know that you're able to do whatever you say that you can do, not based on what other people can say. Anyway, I like clenched my abs for that one, guys. I really, with all my heart and soul, fucking meant that.
Yeah.
This is a much more fun question, so everyone doesn't have to buckle up as much. You can, like, loosen your seatbelt a little bit. What's your favorite place that you've been to and, like, traveled to, and why?
That's such a good question. I mean, thanks to sport, I've been able to travel the world, up until this point. And I think out of everywhere that I've been, that's so hard to decide. But, I mean, Japan is a great place. Out of all the places that I've been, Central America, Canada, like, I mean, yeah, Japan was awesome for me. The people were amazing. The food was really good. I ate so much and I got so skinny because their food is, like, real. Like, it's real food. And the place, if you go to Tokyo, I went to Tokyo and I got to experience what Tokyo looked like and their system of everything. It's so sustainable. Everything is like, you put this in this container, this in this container. Nobody's breaking rules. Everyone's following, like, stop signs and things. And it's just so incredible. Like, the way that the city and everything is built, the people are awesome. If I could recommend, like, one place, I'd say go to Japan for fun. Like, it's just such a good place. Everyone's awesome. It kind of reminds me of Hawaii in terms of, like, the people are very respectful, but better because everyone is so, like, spick and span clean. Everyone's on the same page. It's a very sustainable country. It's a very advanced country where their billboards are like New York, but on steroids. They're at the street level. It's an experience that just feels like out of this world. Out of all the places I've been, I mean, I've been to some cool third world countries. Peru, Canada was, like, really awesome and clean when I went to Surrey. But Japan was something that, I mean, I would go back today.
That's so awesome that you say that because a lot of my flight attendant friends who have gone to, like, Kansai and Osaka and Narita, and they all say that Japan's food,
yes,
no matter how much you eat, you will not
lose
become
weight
obese.
Somehow.
You will literally not be able to gain weight because all their food is so fresh and so amazing and so flavorful that you want to continue to eat, but you won't become super bloated because your body doesn't reject what you're putting into your system. So I think that's so cool that the fact that softball was able to take you to all these amazing places and you were able to experience life outside of softball, you know?
Yes.
And that's, like, another thing that I want you to totally talk about on this podcast because I feel like a lot of athletes, too, associate their identity with their sport.
Yeah.
And I know that you've literally already talked about that in, like, so many other of your speeches, but I want you to end on that, so I'm not even going to bring it up. Moving on, people. Okay?
Yeah, Japan, period.
Japan, and also ramen in Japan, and fish in Japan, and anything to eat. I heard that milk is sweeter in Japan. Super side note. Any sort of dairy I heard is, like, sweeter because they don't do the thing that America does with things, and they don't add, like, a bunch of preservative. Like, it's all super fresh.
Yeah.
Besides the point.
Wait, no, last time I mean, I didn't get to do this when I went to Japan, but I heard that you can also dress up as, like, a Mario Kart character and drive, like, little Mario Kart go-karts around.
You're fucking joking.
Bruh. We're going.
Cool. So,
guys, all of us listening right now, let's all try that. I mean, what? You can dress up as an actual Mario Kart character and travel around, like, the city.
I'm beyond excited to put a mustache on and fucking start to drive like Louis. Don't even know that's part of the fucking equipment, but I'll bring my own mustache for sure. For sure, bring my own mustache. Okay. What accomplishment are you the most proud of? And this does not have to be like, I traveled the world, or I did this, or I was able to go to Berkeley, or any of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. This could also be, like, family-wise, I'm so proud of the way that I was able to show up for my family in every aspect. Like, I'm super excited for the way that I was able to go into corporate, and I'm proud that I was able to step outside my comfort zone and modeling. Like, it could be any of those things. Or, like, I'm so proud of the way that I am presenting myself as a friend to others. Like, it could be any of that. Like, what is your biggest accomplishment that you can think of right now that you're the most proud of?
Sheesh, that is so hard. Because there's so many different categories of, like, going out of my comfort zone, being a friend, of, like, just being there for people. I mean, if anyone reaches out, I'm always there for anyone because I've been through the ringer. I know exactly so many different situations that people are going through in terms of corporate that we're talking about over and over again. I went to work for that New York company where I was facilitating partnership deals on the level of, like, Logan Paul, who is, like, huge, and, like, companies like Walmart. So every day I'd be facilitating all these deals, and my first year there, I mean, this is just for athletes to know in general, or just anyone in general, like, everyone told me, like, we're straight out of college, there's no way I would be able to get a senior job. And then I ended up becoming a senior sales executive or accountant for a huge company where I was doing over 6 figures. I was doing over $250,000 worth of sales. In terms of corporate, I mean, really pushing myself to my boundaries there, and I really, it's such a hard question.
It's a hard question, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep, I really am hitting you with over the head with a bunch of stuff. Also, if anyone, this is a super side note, if anyone here is hearing, like, a sound in the background, that's the air conditioner, because there's no way in hell that I could not put on the air conditioner during this, because we would be sweating buckets. We do not currently have a soundproof studio, but that is in the works, buddies. That's in the works.
In the works.
Anyway.
But yeah, greatest accomplishment.
So, yeah. I mean, that honestly takes a lot to think about. Like, I mean, are you looking at it through a lens? Yeah, like, are you looking at it through a lens of, like, tangible things that I've written?
I think no tangible things, because those are easy to say. I think in terms of, like, things that people haven't heard me say before, what accomplishment I'm proud of the most would probably be, I really try to reevaluate my ego. And I think that's something that we can all do in terms of, like, really checking yourself, you know? I'm proud of the fact that no matter what it is that I'm achieving, I'm always willing to make an adjustment to better my life. Whether that be in a job, whether that be in sport, whether that be in life, I'll always challenge myself. Every time I feel uncomfortable, that's, like, my favorite thing. When I feel uncomfortable, I kind of lean into it and really just embrace the fact that you're growing in that moment.
And it's crazy because every time you feel uncomfortable and you lean into it, majority of the time, you're not going to be faced with, like, shit, I should have never leaned into it. No. I should have never done that. Like, you're always like, thank God I didn't listen to the doubts of myself or the doubts of others. Like, I went in the direction that I was supposed to go, and here I am. Like, I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, like, you'll either grow or you'll learn something amazing out of it. You'll always just advance in that way. So I think in terms of, out of all the things I've done and accomplished throughout life, those were never the goals. All the things that I have on my resume, which would be, like, the corporate, the degree, the medals, and all of these things that people really just applaud me for. I have never once set a goal to accomplish any of these things. Never once did I say I was going to go make 6 figures first year out of college. I was going to go be a graduate from a top university. I was going to go win these medals. Every single day, I'll push myself to just follow my dream, and then these are just results. I mean, I'm Hawaii's first professional softball pitcher. It's a path that hasn't been done before, and I've always been a trailblazer, always been someone to push myself, and I think that that's something that a lot of people can resonate with, you know? Like, you don't have to follow the grain. You don't have to do something that's been done. You don't have to work a 9 to 5. You don't have to follow in the path of your parents, or you don't have to be uncomfortable or unhappy in your marriage or a relationship because you've been together for a long time. Like, bruh, heck all of that.
Good one.
Like,
heck
all of that, yes. Me as a public figure will say heck on this podcast.
Boo! Everyone boo in unison, like, as you're listening to this. Like, fucking boo her.
Bye. Okay, first of all, no. But, like, yeah, like, I'm being so for real in terms of, like, my greatest accomplishment is the fact that I've set my ego aside. Nothing that I accomplish, it's never about the thing that you're accomplishing, it's about the path that you choose to get there.
it's almost as if when you decide to chase after your dreams and to truly go for it, that opportunity lands in your lap, essentially.
Yeah, that's
and
so
it's not
true.
handed to you. It's really like, no, I'm making a conscious decision that I'm going to continue to pick paths that push me outside of where I am right now. And then right when you do, I just want to pause because I don't know if this person is listening. A lot of small-minded people will say, oh, it's so handed to you. It's so easy. You've done so, like, it's so automatic. Like, why would it... Fart noise. But it's not handed to you if you yourself are constantly accepting and embracing the uncomfortability that happens when you get outside of your comfort zone. Like, when that moment happens and when that shift happens, it's almost like opportunity starts to fall into your lap. And I'm not even, like, over-exaggerating that at all. Like, when I had a mentality of, this is my life, like, I gotta get a 9 to 5, like, this is what I have to do, even though I don't want to do it, I have to do it because everyone says so. I was super unhappy and I was super unfulfilled and it sucked. The moment I said no, and the moment I said that I am worth more than that, that is when things started to align, and that's when things started to fall into place because I wasn't living in the confines of what I thought I was capable of in a past life. Like, I now was able to push through and welcome these amazing opportunities that are still falling into my lap now, and like these inspirational ideas that we have. So something that's super huge from both Kama's story and both like everything that you've heard throughout this entire podcast is the fact that you have the power to make decisions that are going to change your life. Period. Like, you do. Even if you think, oh no, other people are making my decisions for me, I don't have any control in my life, I gotta do it this way, I have to do it this way, this is the way that I have to do it, everyone says that I can. No. It's so incredibly important that you always remember that you are the one that dictates where your life goes. Okay? Amazing.
Yes.
Moving on. What are some things that light you up? Like, it could be like reading or yoga or, I don't even know, hiking, playing softball or like coaching. Like, what are some things in your life that light you up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things. I think being present, hanging out with friends and family, doing anything that slows me down at this point in my life, because I feel like I'm really going. I mean, I have these businesses that I'm running. I'm doing investments in real estate and all these other things. And then I'm still playing pro ball and trying to do these foundations for like Pacific athletes and all these things. So I'm doing a lot of things. And so I think anything that keeps me in the moment is something that really, really lights me up right now.
Isn't it so nice that no matter how busy you can get, like, there's always, or you would hope that there's always these people and these moments that like are able to almost take you out of the hustle and bustle of everything and just make you truly remember, like, oh, this is what I like to do. Like, this is a fun little activity. And it's just fun to be fun. Like, there's no reason to do it. It's
no reason, yes.
Yeah, like,
I mean, tonight we spent like 3 hours singing karaoke, guys. We figured
guys, by ourselves. There was absolutely no one else in the room.
Two of us here.
And you may think, did they rent out a karaoke room? Absolutely not. It was at my house, folks, where we just decided to sing songs and drink wine for funsies.
We discovered that we're pretty decent at
harmonizing.
Yeah, pretty
And
decent.
honestly, if you wanted to book us at your next first birthday party or family barbecue or perhaps a family reunion, we are absolutely open to it. And if you wanted to go ahead and send us an email, that avenue is open. Because what do? We open ourselves up to opportunity in this fucking community.
God,
Amen.
please don't try
Nice.
to book us. Literally,
book us. We're good.
But yeah, like those are the kind of moments I'm talking about. Like, just doing things to do it. I feel like in social media and all this age, it's like you really are looking like, oh, like I could be doing this. I could be learning this. I mean, YouTube has everything that you could ever want to learn. So it kind of gives me personally this kind of anxiety, like why don't I have an Amazon store selling $1 million per month? Why don't I do these things? Like, the opportunity to learn is there, and it gives me this kind of pressure and this stress of like, you should be doing more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that right now, things that light me up are things that really just keep me in the moment. Bruh, I don't care. I'm gonna go surf. I'm gonna go sing karaoke for 3 hours. And it's just because I've been putting in the work in other categories of my life. But the things that really keep me grounded and the things that keep me here and happy are the things that really don't mean anything, and the things that are just like
don't mean anything but mean the most at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Like, don't mean anything but like truly just keep me here. My best friend here is a great example of that. Always keeps life interesting. So I mean, yeah, like, I'm just thankful for being able to have like moments that really keep me grounded. And like, as humans, we're supposed to be just enjoying, like
and ultimately alive. All the grind is to enjoy moments like this. So why not enjoy moments like this at the same time as you are grinding?
Oh
so I think that that's like so fucking important for everyone to remember, is that like, not only are we grinding and like we want more for ourselves, absolutely, we want to take every opportunity and like literally grab it. However, it's so important that you remember what life is all about and embrace those moments that remind you that you are enough just by just simply being here. You don't have to accomplish a bunch of shit to be worthy of blessings and to be worthy of a life that is super fulfilled. Like, you can have that right now at the same time as working towards your goals. Like, you absolutely can, and you deserve to literally just do something for fun and to do something that actually makes you feel aligned and fulfilled, because that's ultimately what we're grinding for, right? To have that be our daily life every single day. So
yeah, I actually heard a story about this, and this was something that changed my perspective too. I mean, it was a story about a fisherman who spent all of his days hanging out with his family and fishing, and he was poor, so he spent his days with his family, and then he would go and fish. And a businessman came up to him and was like, hey, if you put all this fish like together and you put more effort in and you built a crew, like, you could get all this money, fame, and all these things. You could provide fish for so many more people, and you could do all these things. And the fisherman ultimately asked him, like, awesome, so like, at the end of my day, after I accomplish getting the money and the status and providing so much more fish for all of these people and building this huge business, what's the goal? Like, what happens when you do all of those things? And the businessman was like, and like, after all these things, you'll have all this money, time, and freedom to hang out with your family and fish and do what you want to do. So the fisherman asked him and was like, so after I accomplish all of these things, put in all this work, then I'll be able to hang out with my family and do exactly what I'm doing right now. And the businessman looked at him and was like, shucks, I guess you're right. Yeah. So I think that's like a big story that impacted my life, and something that made me come back home from being in the mainland and really like settle down and really look at like what matters to me, my family, being here for these small moments that I've missed for all these years in college and playing pro ball and traveling at the end of our day with all of our money and time and all of these things. Like, yes, I mean, I'm speaking this on all of you listening, is that yes, you will achieve money, you will achieve happiness and time, freedom, and all these things, but it's like, at what cost, like the fisherman, like, he already had his family time and he already had his fishing, which was the thing that he loved. He didn't need to like build this massive empire, because what's at the end of the road, what we all ultimately want is to be able to spend time with our families. And like, don't get
me or us wrong at all. Like, there's a time for sacrifice, and there's a time for like grinding, and then there's also a time for truly being in the moment and saying, like, exactly what Kama said. Like, she moved home because she didn't want to miss any more opportunities or any more moments with her family. And this is still something that I don't know if, I don't want to speak for Kama at all, that's still something that I am like completely and totally struggling with, is that balance, because you don't want to be totally tired out from grinding all day to not give your all to your family. Like, that's not the goal. Like, the goal is not to be like, I'm fucking burnt out, I literally don't want to talk to anybody, and see a family who means the most to me and the reason why I'm grinding. Like, that makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? So I personally have all these huge goals and monumental achievements that I want to make happen, but it's still like this battle of, oh, you should sacrifice, oh, you should save, oh, you should actually use your money and like go travel and like go on a little cruise to Cabo, and like you should do this because life is so short and you want to live in the moment, but also this. So like there's so many different aspects to it, and I'm still figuring it out. I feel like a lot of the times when people are listening to podcasts, they're either like super motivated to just cut everybody and just like grind mode, or they're super motivated to stop everything and like just be with your family. And I feel like if you just try to be smack dab in the middle, or like learn the sliding scale piece of it, then you'll be a lot happier and you won't waste your time doing shit that makes you unhappy, if that makes sense. Anyway, fucking continue, Kama, if you have anything to add on to that.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, yeah, it's really hard, but that, I mean, everything goes back to your why. It really just goes back to what you want out of this life. I mean, if you want to be a bajillionaire, which isn't a word, then yeah, you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot and grind right now. I mean, I sacrificed a lot to be where I am, to be blessed with the opportunities to be able to have more flexibility now. I mean, I sacrificed my whole childhood and high school career up to where I am now. So, yeah, everything's gonna come with sacrifice, and it's all gonna be worth it for sure. But I mean, it all comes down to your why of what you actually want. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great question. That's something that we all have to figure out for ourselves. But I think that story is something that's resonated with me after putting in all these years of sacrifice of like, for my personal why. I know that my why is my family and my being home and all these things. So in terms of working hard to make sure that my family is taken care of and making sure that my future family of me, my husband, my babies are taken care of, then that's the main thing that matters for me. And I mean, everyone's different. Some people are going to be like generational curses and whatever it may be of like breaking these generational traumas. So yeah, I mean, it just, you really have to sit down, talk to yourself, and you dig deep of like, okay, what do I want out of this life? And for me, personally, it's this experience of, I mean, family and my community and my close, and impacting lives the same way that my life was impacted, luckily, being a small town girl from Waianae, and then going on to all these worldwide opportunities. So I hope that I can give that to the next generation, and find the next Kamalani Dung who may be out in Waianae right now, and be the helping hand that they need in order to get to where I am today, and be able to make this exact same decision of like, what is their why, you know? So
I love that you talk about that, because it totally brings us to our next question, because I feel like a lot of people, you can easily Google like Kama's from Waianae, or Kama went to Fresno, and then she transferred to Berkeley, and then she did this, and then she went to the national Puerto Rican team, and like, and then you could literally track Kama via Google.
It's
but
terrifying.
yeah, literally, like, but what do you think, Kama, is, this is like the last question also that can kind of conclude everything that we've talked about throughout this entire podcast episode. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions people have of you? Like, looking from the outside is really easy to draw your own conclusions from this person that you've never met, or this person that is, I don't know, just someone that almost seems outerworldly. Like, if you don't actually know Kama and she comes to talk to you, she can probably come off as someone that like has it all together, or has it like completely figured out, and she's like always known that she wanted to be the best, and she always knew that this and this. But what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions people have of you, and what do you want to say to that?
Amazing question. I think the biggest misconception that people have of me is, I mean, everyone who meets me thinks that I'm gonna be a certain way of attitude or whatever it may be. Like, a lot of people say that they really thought that I was being fake when I first met them, and then they kept meeting me over and over again, and they're like, yeah, this person is just like unnecessarily nice. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that, one, that I was handed everything that I have up until this point. And then another huge misconception is that that I'm not down to earth or personable. Like, I can genuinely relate. So I know that it is hard to talk stories with me and catch me in a moment, or be in my inner circle, because I really do keep it small, and I am so busy right now in this point of my life. But I think that a misconception is that I have it all together, that maybe I'm this model girl that people see online, and it's truly the exact opposite. I mean, every single day I'm learning something new about myself. I've really been through a lot to get to where I am today, and genuinely out of like everything in my heart, I'm really just
trying to figure out
it out, trying to help the people around me. And in terms of just everything that I have right now, I've been blessed, and I hope that I can give back to the next generation and the next Kamalani Dung. So a lot of people may think like, shucks, she must have it all figured out, or like, oh, she must have had this like roadmap. Like, my mindset is so positive of everything that happens to me, because I've been through such negative that at this point it's just, I'm blessed and happy for how much I've accomplished, and I can't wait to see myself accomplish more. And I really am just rooting for everyone around me, because I've gotten rid of my ego a while ago. Like years ago, I've really dug deep and seen kind of like what ego is and how it limits you. And like, I'm really just here to support women. I'm here to support the next generation. And
building off of that, like,
yeah,
110%, when you root for others around you, I also feel like that attracts exactly what you want into your lap. And I'm not saying that you should be like rooting for other people around you because you're hoping that it will come back around.
Yeah.
But when you genuinely are there for other people, you will see complete shifts in your life, because you're like, oh shit, wow, because I am there for others. It almost seems like the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is also returning that exact emotion and that exact energy back to you. Like, what you give out is what you give in.
That's so
get in.
true.
So like, Kama rooting for someone in a genuine and authentic way is coming back tenfold. So if you're all about yourself and you're so consumed and you're like so competitive with other people around you and you're constantly in this comparisonitis standpoint, you're not going to see results as fast as if you were to be rooting for other people's success genuinely and authentically. So I think that's like a huge other point of what Kama's all about too.
Yeah, like, huge misconception of people. I mean, everyone sees what's on social media, and I mean, just listening to this podcast, if you don't know me or know both of us personally, I mean, you can see that we both don't give a flying flip. Any followers that I have came from me playing the sport that I love, and me really just head down and grinding. And I'm thankful for everything that I have, but I mean, it was never the goal. So I think in conclusion of like, yes, that's some of the biggest misconceptions, but in terms of like you were saying, like, it's really just about you focusing on your goal, being genuine and authentic with who you are, what you want out of life. And it's gonna come around tenfold, and that's what's happened to me. And my goal from here on out is to provide that experience for the next generation, and for honestly anyone. I've had friends reach out of like, Kama, your energy is just something that I need to be around. Like, are you free for lunch? And I mean, my schedule's crazy, but I'll get to it when I can. And yeah, let's meet up. Let's talk stories. If you guys see me in person, that's one thing that people can genuinely say about me, is that I'm so present in my conversations with people, no matter what's going on.
Because you're conscious about who you give your energy to and who you give your time to.
Yeah, so I think that there's huge misconceptions of like, oh, she's an influencer, she's a model. It's like, okay, genuinely, I don't care about either of those things. I'm probably the worst influencer ever. Like, I could do so many more things, but I'm just like, that's the least of my worries. Yeah, and I mean, some people really do expect like so much from me. Like, yeah, I really expect just expect me to be like always in this persona of this person that they built up in their mind. And I'm just like, I mean, I love you for thinking so highly of me, but I mean, I'm human too, like, we're all just out here trying to figure it out. I have off days too. So, I mean, yeah.
I
my best answer to that.
absolutely fudging love that. But all in all, literally thank you so much for your time. I actually forced her via gunpoint to be on this
Basically.
podcast because we were tired and from 3 hours of karaoke. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I'm literally so thankful to have someone like you in my life, and that's not even as a Kamalani Dung like person. Like, it is literally from the moment that we were growing little soybeans in a milk carton and like,
What does that even mean?
like, what do you mean? It's not metaphorical. It's literally like when we were literally in elementary school and we opened up milk cartons, put soil in it, put a fucking bean in the middle of it, and then watched it grow. That was the moment that we also got to know each other. And so I'm so thankful for every moment since then, because I feel like you really need someone that's constantly in your corner. Like, no matter what. And I'm not saying someone that enables your toxic behavior or enables like what you're doing right now, even though they know it's a shit thing to do. Like, you really do need someone who's constantly gonna hype you up, because when you're
Loves you unconditionally.
yes, like when your self-doubts overwhelm your brain and you're just in your own little world and you're like, oh my god, I don't believe in myself, I don't believe in my potential, I'm just gonna crawl back in this little hole, I promise I'm not gonna be anything special. You need someone that's going to literally sit you down, slap you twice in the face, and be like, no, you can and you fucking will, and if you don't get out there, I will literally kick you in the shin. Like, you need somebody like that, because the amount of times that each of us has had that conversation with each other is, I can't even count. Like, that is what our friendship has consisted of over the past 16, 17 years, really.
100%.
And just know that if you don't have someone like that, our DMs are always open. Kama obviously will respond a little bit slower because of her plethora of followers. Where can they find you, Kama, before we conclude?
Yeah, for you guys, anybody who's tuning in can find me at kama.dung on Instagram, Twitter, and I mean, I might be starting a YouTube, we'll see. I've been told a few times to try it. And then, I mean, anyone who's tuning in business-wise, you can follow me at Island Influence, which is my marketing company. And then Kama_training, which is my training and coaching website. Or my training and coaching Instagram. So
nice, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so excited that you decided to tune in for this, like, damn near an hour and 30-minute, like, I don't even know what it actually is going to be when I finally edit it. But I want to let you know, as always, I'm so thankful, I'm so blessed, I'm so honored that you decided to spend your time with us today. And I cannot wait to flipping, whatever you want to call it, talk to you on the next freaking episode. In the meantime, always remember that you deserve to live a life that is fearlessly fulfilled. Majalos.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! Thank you for choosing to spend your time with me today. My biggest hope is that you resonated with something here and it inspires you to incorporate it into your day, your week, your month, your year, and ultimately your life. Always remember, the world benefits when we're all operating as our most authentic, genuine, and fulfilled selves. I love you so much and can't wait to grow together on the next episode. In the meantime, get out there and live your truth.